In the meantime, at the same event, Defence Minister Thandi Modise has commented on a number of issues affecting the Defence Force. This includes that accusations that the department had spent more than 5 million rand on 450 soldiers and officers who had travelled to the Eastern Cape for the funeral of Lieutenant General Xolani Ndlovu. Juniour Khumalo has more. Junior, once again we saw an impromptu press conference. Minister Thandi Modise addressing a number of issues, as we said just there with the introduction, some of the mismanagement of funds.
Indeed, Gwena, the minister did address an impromptu media briefing here where she spoke about the funeral service that happened, I think it was 2 weeks ago, actually it was in November, the 26th of November, where one of the lieutenant generals was being buried in the Eastern Cape in New Brighton. And about 450 officers from the SANDF travelled to that funeral. And there's been a lot of accusations around why they did not use the army barracks as a point or where they were staying. They were actually booked into fancy hotels according to the media reports by reports. So the minister wanted to address this, saying that she has instructed the department to actually look into these allegations and see if there is any money that was misspent in while this happened. She also took the opportunity to address what was happening yesterday. We saw the Patriotic Alliance going to the border crossing between South Africa and Zimbabwe, where they were trying to prevent people from coming into South Africa. Zimbabweans actually coming into South Africa illegally. She said while this was understandable, that there were a lot of frustrations from South Africans that our borders were porous, there was actually, this is supposed to be done by law enforcement and not political parties. She said this was cheap politicking, especially in a year where South Africans are going to be voting in the national and provincial elections. But she also addressed an incident where one former naval commander, Sylvester Mohalele, who actually went on social media this week and called on President Cyril Ramaphosa to step aside. He said that he was giving the president 48 hours to step aside. Minister Thandi Modise said this behavior is part of the reason why this commander was actually dismissed from the SANDF, and it seems to be continuing. She called on South Africans, especially SANDF officials who have retired or who are still active, not to partake in what he called, because he said that if the president does not remove himself from the position of being the head of the country, there will be a coup, basically. And the Minister Thandi Modise said these were sentiments that were not shared by the SANDF as she is leading it, Gwena.
Just on that matter, I mean, speaking about this particular retired general and the threats, do you feel that they are taking the threats seriously? I mean, as you say, if the threats are anything to go by, this could lead to a coup.
Indeed, the fact that the minister even addressed it suggests that she is actually taking these threats seriously, because she was encouraging army active SANDF members or retired members not to take part in this. We are actually going to be joined by the minister herself right now. Minister, thank you so much for making time for us. Minister, you spoke about the retired naval commander who was calling on the president to step aside. Is the SANDF taking these threats seriously?
He's not a retired. He was fired in 2018. A retired general or a naval lieutenant commander is a completely different thing from the one that was dismissed. We are reminding him of the code of conduct. We are reminding him of the Defence Act that he's quoting. We are asking him to desist, to step down from the havoc he thinks he's creating. We are also saying that perhaps as a military veteran he might want to approach maybe one of the hospitals if there are issues there that they can help him with. But we definitely will not be tolerating the head of state being undermined again.
And Minister, please just speak to us about the Patriotic Alliance going to the border between South Africa and Zimbabwe and patrolling that border. Is there a need for citizens to take this act upon themselves to try and prevent foreign nationals from coming into the country illegally?
Citizens have the right to be concerned about what is going on in their countries, in their livelihoods, their possessions, yes, they have the right to worry. They may be having the right to go and see the weaknesses around the borders. What we will not countenance is for them to carry arms and what looks like machine guns, because they shouldn't. What we will also not be able to excuse is for the Patriotic Alliance to think that they can displace the structures that are supposed to be protecting the borders of South Africa. And yes, we acknowledge that there might be weaknesses because we have been having dipping budgets over the years. But we're busy trying to correct that. And we are also saying that allow us to do our job. Advise us when you need to. But don't undermine our efforts, because what you are actually doing is undermine the integrity of the country when you think you are increasing it.
Thank you so much, Minister, for your time. That is Minister of Defense Thandi Modise saying that what the Patriotic Alliance was basically doing when it was patrolling the borders of South Africa was undermining the defense of the country, because defending the territory of the country and the sovereignty of the country should be done by law enforcement officials.
Thank you very much, Juniour Khumalo. We will continue touching base with you as the ANC continues to prepare for the January 8th statement in Mpumalanga. Celebrations will be happening on the 13th.